Right. Yes, greetings and welcome to the PSCM TV. And please, for all new listeners, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Our topic today is entitled Words of Wisdom from Kemet. What do they mean by spirituality? This presentation will be given by Ndugu Imani, and then after the presentation, we'll be joined by guest Sister Kendaki and Mbutu Kunda. And we may be having another guest coming along as well. So the presentation will last roughly about 50 minutes. And please remember to send in your questions or comments. And then we'll be opening it up for general discussion. So at this point now, I'd just like to hand over to Brother Imani, who will be starting the presentation.
Greetings, everyone, and greetings, brother Ndugu Tahaka. And Ndugu, if I use that term, it means brother in Swahili. And if I say dada, it means sister in Swahili. So yes, greetings, hamjambo to everybody. This is greetings to you all. And yeah, this is the talk on wisdom from words of wisdom from Kemet. What do they mean spiritually? As Ndugu said, I'll be just going through a presentation or a PowerPoint presentation, I'll be able to, you'll be hearing me, and I'll just talk it through that, and then we'll, as he said, have answers and questions from myself and from everybody else from the other guests who are here, who we are very grateful for them sharing their time with us. I said I'm Imani Nassor. I'm an African spiritualist and advisor, and I do consultations on African spirituality, readings, meditation, and just basically advising and just a practitioner, and then just finding my way myself through my journey and my spiritual path. And it's my calling to just share what I learn and to learn as much as I can. And if that can help any others on their spiritual path, then that's what I'm here to do. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen, first of all, because we're going to do just to change the vibration, change the energy, so that we are calling in the powers of the all the ancestors, the cosmological forces, wherever we may be. And so we're joining together in spirit. So if I go here to sharing my screen, and hopefully this will work. So Ndugu Tahaka, if you can, that's not the one. Yeah, so yeah, you see words of wisdom, but that's not the one that we want. So let's go to stop sharing, and I will share again, and application window. That is the one we want. And share. No, still not doing it. Okay. Okay, and we try again. Yes, there we go. Okay. Because this, I have a Mac and it doesn't really work with Microsoft fully, so I can't share the screen fully, but you'll be able to see everything, but you can see just the slides in the kind of editing stage. So yes, so we're going to change energy. So mabadiliko ya nishati in Swahili is change of energy. So what you can't see, but you'll be able to hear, is that I'm going to ring a chime. First of all, I'm going to ring a triangle chime. I'm going to ring it 7 times for wisdom, seeking, and truth, because 7 is the number, the spiritual number for wisdom, seeking, and truth. And if we just, and however you feel, whether you close your eyes, keep your eyes open, you can read what's happening on the screen. But become centered, go into our meditative state in whichever way that you feel comfortable. And if you don't wish to take part, and then that's fine. And just asking that any of the elders who may be watching, that I hope they give me the permission to continue. So we'll begin. Okay. Okay. Next. So we're going to, in order to change the energy or vibration, we're now going to thank the powers, to ask that we have a closer connection with them, and they assist us in manifesting our objectives. So I'm now going to say in Swahili, and you can see the words there in English, the translation. Ninaomba ya muomba awote. Ninaomba ya nebacha. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Geb. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Aset. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Sebek. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Heteru. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Haru. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Herakuti. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Maat. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Seka. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Tahuti. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Ausa. Ninaomba kanuni na nguvu ya Amen. So now I call upon the ancestors. And first, our ancestors that we'll call upon is those in our direct line. Ninaomba Mababu. Ninaomba Ojume Kelly. And Ndugu Tahaka or the Dada Kandake or Ndugu and the brother here. If there's anybody you wish to call upon on your direct line.
Ninaomba Iceland Rattigan.
And now I can call upon those who are in not on our direct line, but are our ancestors, those who we're inspired by, and if it's our divine purpose, that will be able to emanate their works and even go beyond them. So, Ninomba Marcus Mazar Garvey, Ninomba Winnie Mandela, Ninomba Nana Bonsu, Ninomba Amy Jacques Garvey, Ninomba Harriet Tubman. I call upon the ancestors of Kemet, Ninomba Mababu Ya Kemet, of ancient Kush, Ninomba Mababu Ya Tasseti. Those that we should never forget, who are always with us, even though we don't know their names. Those of the Martha, Ninomba Mababu Ya Martha, and Ninomba Mababu Ya Kilimanjaro. And finally, I'll just end on the affirmation, Mapenzi wote ni mapenzi yangu. The will of the all is my will. Okay, so that's it. I'm changing the vibration. Thank you very much. And now what I'll do is I will stop sharing this. We'll come back. Greetings, Elder Binny. And now I will go back into sharing and go to the presentation. Oops. There. Stop sharing. And go. Yes. Greetings, Jambo. Shukumoma Enze.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Me too.
Okay, here we are. Okay, so here's the presentation. So, as I said, that I'll just go through this. I'll just read through this the presentation, and yep, there it is. And any questions will come from those who are watching, and of course, the honored guests who are here, they can comment on anything that's presented, or just talk about African spirituality in general, and answer the questions that have been put to us. Okay, so words of wisdom from Kemet. What do they mean spiritually? As an introduction of a series of workshops that I'm currently conducting at the moment. We're coming up to the 5th and last one next week. So this is like a taster, an explanation, a taster of the information in those workshops, and not the full thing. And if anybody's interested in the workshops, they can contact me in the description box below. There's a number there, and you can find out about this presentation and what the workshops are about and how to contact me. Okay. So, what is African spirituality? So, I think that to talk about spirituality in terms of ancient Kemet and what it means, and what the words of wisdom, the Proverbs from ancient Kemet, what they mean spiritually, that it's good to have a understanding, a common understanding of what we mean by African spirituality. And from my understanding, this is it. And I'm sure that this chimes with everybody the guests who are here as well. But talking about things that have influenced me and guided me on my path. So, what is African spirituality? So, Dalian Adafo and Verona Spence Adafo, the creators of, I think, the brilliant, groundbreaking educational African spirituality resource, Ancestral Voices, captured the main characteristics of African spirituality. They have taken the work of many great African writers and spiritualists and distilled the information into a digestible form. Their work demonstrates that there were many tools that Africans had developed to understand the life, force, or spirit that all existence, past, present, and future, are part of. The tools depended on our place in time, our location, and language we spoke. Therefore, the tools have many names: Vodon, Dagara, Kemetic Mystery System, Obia, Ifa, Kandabole, Dogon, Rastafari, Bunda di Congo, and Romani. None are more correct than any other. They are just the methods that they all gifted to humans to understand reality. And of course, those are just a few of the names that I've mentioned of the different expressions of our spirituality. The characteristics of African spirituality, wherever it is expressed, are as follows. Conceptions of the Creator. And this symbol here is one of the earliest symbols of the Creator. Gerald Massey showed this in his books of Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man. And as you can see, that this can be seen as an eye, but it also has a very close resemblance to an atom. So, conceptions of the Creator. God, Amen, Muumba in Swahili, the Creator, the All, or Wote in Swahili, which means the All, is thought as the supreme consciousness, and that everything that has existed, does exist, and will ever exist, including humans, are divine mental projections of the supreme consciousness. Supreme consciousness is viewed as a singularity, immutable, and manifests in infinite forms. However, these manifestations are subjective reality and illusion, as in absolute reality, there is only the singularity. Supreme consciousness is omnipresent, everywhere, omnipotent, all-powerful, and omniscient, all-knowing. Nature is an expression of the supreme consciousness. It is divine, intelligent, and should be respected and be harmonized with, as we are nature and nature is us. The Creator as female. The earliest depictions still on record in Africa to date are of the Creator as a female. One was the child, pointing to the function of giving birth, that is, coming into being or form. The Creator as male and female pair. There's more surviving recorded evidence of the Creator as a male and female pair in existence, as opposed to a singular male Godhead, as we find in the Abrahamic faith. The conceptualization of a dual nature to the Creator is recognition of the involvement of both a masculine and a feminine principle for creation to come about. Nature of existence. In the African worldview, the nature of existence does not comprise solely of what we can perceive with our visual sense, that is, our eyes. The universe is composed of two aspects, or realms, physical and spiritual, with the spiritual realm further stratified into various spaces or abodes. These spaces include those of departed ancestors, spirits, or forces of nature, and that of the ultimate source of creation of all things in existence. These two realms are in constant interchange with each other, and what happens in one realm can have an impact on the other. In so doing, order and harmony are maintained in the cosmos and on Earth. Order and balance. Opposing but complementary forces maintain order and balance as a necessity for harmony between realms of existence. There can be no good without bad, and the bad is not to be dispelled entirely per se, but rather managed and utilized as a source of learning to inform future actions and attitudes. the interconnectedness of things. All things in existence have an impact on each other, and this interconnectedness and interplay is a constant dynamic. There are cause and effect relationships to be found in all experiences, acts, and thoughts, and as such, what we will in the mind is manifested in the flesh. Correspondence. As above, so below. In African traditional beliefs, it is held that the structure of the social organization are a reflection of the same hierarchical organization in the spiritual world. So there's cyclical existence. All that is in creation is never lost, even when it decays, withers and dies, and is no longer discernible by our visible senses. Instead, it is transformed into another form or function, so that existence continuously replenishes itself. And here I've just put the symbol from the Dinka symbol for the omnipotence of God, or the accept God, or fear nothing but God. So, spirit of being. In the African worldview, all things in creation have the quintessential essence of the creator contained within it, whether animate or inanimate, an extension of the aforementioned notion of the interconnectedness of things. In summary, African spirituality is whole brain synthesis, congregative thinking, the understanding of the one thing, the oneness of all things, the complementary nature of all things. So now that we have a understanding of African spirituality, one concept of African spirituality as most of this comes from ancestral voices, but also some things that I've added in there myself from my own understanding. Now we've got a common understanding, we can go into the main body of the presentation. So, tempt us. The following words of wisdom that I'm going to talk about and present are taken from Kemet, and have been selected from the book Egyptian Proverbs, Tempt Us by Muata Apaya Ashby, as you can see here. Tempt Us is from the Kemetian language and means a collection or book of sayings containing the wisdom of ancient times. Tempt Us has been drawn from the wisdom literature of the ancient Kemites. These texts date back as far as the first golden age of Kemet, as the golden age is as devised by luminaries like the late pastor transitioned John Henry Clark. From the first golden age of Kemet, the old period, 4240 BCE to 2180 BCE, BCE meaning before the Common Era. So the first one. Nothing in heaven is a slave. Nothing on earth is free. So anything in the dark text, in the black text, is the actual text, and anything in purple text is my interpretation of it as best as I can. And used purple text mainly because purple is not only a symbol of spiritual color for royalty, but also the spiritual color for intuition. We are divine spirits having a divine human experience. Being a slave of the fourth dimension, we understand that as fourth dimension, there's the 3 dimensions: up, down, left, right, forward and backwards. And the fourth dimension, time, occurs when our personality doesn't recognize that physical experience in and of itself has no intrinsic value, e.g. it's right or wrong. It is neutral. It is our attitude and that the appropriate emotions we should have all the time in terms of attitude are in line with the divine, that is peace and joy. Imani A in in Swahili. And that joy is a joy that comes from resurrecting the higher self from our subconscious. So it is our attitude that conveys value. If our attitude is correct, all experience is a guide towards the spirit conforming to the higher self, Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar, as it was going through when it's changing the vibration or changing the energy, Nebuchadnezzar means the Lord of all. It's a word from Kemet, means Lord of all, which refers to your higher self. Oh yes, and just to go back, as you can see, I just go back one. So here's the symbol of Ma'at. Here's a symbol of Ma'at there. And going forward to the next slide. Yes. So it is by this method, by bringing forth our higher self, Nebuchadnezzar, is by this method we can control the subconscious segregative thinking, that is left brain separating analytical oppositional thinking. This is neither good nor bad, it just is, but is the intellect, it is cleverness, it is being able to define things, categorize things, being able to communicate things. And the symbol of Sebek is the symbol that pertains towards the left side of the brain, but it's not knowledge. It's not understanding, not that higher intuitive understanding, that knowing, but it is the being able to communicate, and that communication can, if it's not in service of the higher self, can deceive. So is this method that we can control subconscious segregated thinking, that we don't even know that is our core beliefs, we don't even know that are managing our behavior. So we can control those beliefs, that conjugated, that separating thinking. This belief is exemplified that we can say that the only thing that exists is the external world, and that the natural state of humans is to be emotional, reactive, and animalistic, and can only be changed by a divinity that is external to oneself. The next words of wisdom is, there is not one who is fatherless, motherless in the universe. If you understand and have experience being one with Wote, or the all, you know that your Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord of all, your higher self, is limitless, boundless, without beginning or end, and indivisible. Therefore, your Nebuchadnezzar has no father or mother, and has no need for either. As you are your own father and mother, as you are the self-creating Wote. Here is Amen, the highest state of the highest vibration within the Paut Netaru, the Kemetic tree of life, and symbolizes unshakable peace. There can be no more righteous piety than to know the things that are, and to give thanks to the Father, Mother, God who has made them. Who gives thanks is pious. The pious will get to know both where is truth and what it is. So piety is true and moral reverence and thanks that should be given to all that there is, that is Wote. Being aware of and understanding Wote opens one's consciousness so that existence and your divine purpose is understood. And again, this ancient symbol of Muumba, or the creator, or the all, is here to represent that. It's called that concept. Speak Mart, do Mart. Again, here's a symbol of Mart. A Mart equates as truth, harmony, balance, reciprocity, conforming to the natural order of existence and love of the all. Mart is not an intellectual exercise. You have to live it to express it and understand it. It is a way of life. In other words, a culture. And culture is the social behavior, ideas, customs, attitudes of a people or a social group. Culture guides what you do and why you do it. So being devoted to resurrecting your subconscious, your divine self, subsequently your actions and speech conforming to the will of your divine self, being pious in relation to the all, and discovering and following your divine purpose in this incarnation is Ma'at. This is one of the spiritual lessons from the story of Al-Sa, Al-Set, and Haru, which is the foundation of all religious thought. I think it's worth just repeating that. So Ma'at is being devoted to resurrecting from your subconscious, your divine self, subsequently your actions and speech conforming to the will of your divine self, being pious in relation to the all, and discovering and following your divine purpose in this incarnation. So the next word of wisdom from Kemet is: the purpose of all life is to achieve a state of consciousness apart from bodily concerns. The purpose of life is to be devoted to resurrecting from your subconscious your divine self, and subsequently your actions and speech conforming to the will of your divine self, as I just said. Therefore, being pious in relation to the all. To assist us to achieve this, we have meditation, so that we can enter into the trance state. Okay, we're back. So that we can enter into the trance state or theta state. Seems on YouTube. Oh yeah, we're back. Okay. In the theta state, and if you can see in the PowerPoints here, the images here, we have beta waves, which are typical of a normal state of consciousness, which is what we're in now. Alpha waves occur when daydreaming and often associated with the light state of meditation. And then the theta waves found in the high states of creativity, but also in deep meditation and sleep. And delta waves occur in deep sleep or unconsciousness. And it's this theta state in meditation is which we want to achieve in deeper transdimensional meditation. In this state, we can resurrect our higher selves, Nebuchadnezzar, and conform to our true selves, and control our bodily and emotional concerns, as they are illusory and prevent us from freeing ourselves. Next word of wisdom I selected was: to free the spirit, control the senses. The way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. To free the spirit or resurrect our soul, Nebuchadnezzar, from the subconscious, we can utilize meditation so that we can enter into the theta state, as I explained before. In this state, we can resurrect our higher selves, Nebuchadnezzar, and conform to that true self by controlling our bodily and emotional concerns. Next words of wisdom or proverb is that the impious soul screams, I burn, I'm ablaze, I know not what to cry or do. Wretched me, I'm devoured by all the ills that compass me about. Slack, poor me, I neither see nor hear. This is the soul's chastisement of itself, for the mind of man imposes these on the soul. So this proverb refers to Herakuti, faculty within the Kemetic tree of life, or the Pulp Nerataru, the ability to avoid punishing oneself. If one is controlled by one's emotions, instead of them serving you as spiritual tools, they will turn on you. They will torture you. This is one of the roles of the lower self. One becomes tortured by one's own emotional thoughts, unable to draw upon the Herakuti faculty, which is one's divinity, and the wisdom to understand that experience is an illusion and all is an expression of the singularity. Wote. Therefore, you are a divine being observing a destiny play that you agree to experience as the incarnated divine spark, also that the all can experience itself. Once you accept the illusion and adopt its false limitations regarding your true essence, you will feel impotent, out of control, and your destiny unfolding at the whim of fate, or that a divinity outside of yourself arbitrarily judges and punishes you. The next is everything we do is sowing, and all of the experiences are harvest. This is Meskenet. This is the principle from ancient Kemet called Meskenet, or as a Hindu Kush called karma. That is, you reap what you sow. Next words of wisdom are: emotions are good servants, but poor masters. As said before, if one is controlled by one's emotions, instead of them serving you as spiritual tools, allowing you to flex your spiritual muscles, they will turn on you. They will torture you. And this is one of the roles of the lower self. This is not seen as negative or bad, but it is part of the lower self's job, that if we allow ourselves to be controlled by our emotions, then the reaction of us being overwhelmed by them is in order to spring us to use our higher self faculty to bring it back into balance, so that they become the tool, they become the servant of the higher self rather than the master. Mastery of the passions allows divine thought and action. So here I have Sakur, who is the principle regarding, is seen as the great high priestess, and is also is symbolized as a mummy, because as an ancient Kemet, they use this symbol to symbolize those who are devoid or not controlled by their emotions, not emotionless, but not controlled by their emotions. So have passed from that physical realm into the spiritual realm. And she's holding the waset for power, she's holding the crook for leadership, and she's holding the flail for which separates the wheat from the chaff. It's not can be for punishment, but it's also about spiritually about separating the physical from the spiritual. So by using deep trans-dimensional meditation and entering a trance state, the theta brainwave, one can quieten the thoughts, emotions, and physical stimulation. In this state, one experiences ulaganifu na kwa amani, or which is in English, equanimity and equipoise. So equanimity is, if I have something or I don't have something, I'm still centered. And equipoise is that I'm at constant, that one is at constant peace, unshakable peace. So by conforming to your divine self, Nebuchadnezzar man or Nebuchadnezzar woman, a wonderful and joyous feeling of peace comes over you, as you know that you are a divine spirit observing the destiny play you agreed to interact with before being incarnated. And this is the Amen faculty. And if I go back one, no, this is that. No, I won't go back. There's we showed Amen earlier. That's the Amen faculty, and these are this presentation. I've had this book Temp Trust for about 20 odd years, and for most of that I understood some, and most of it I didn't understand. And then once the spiritual awakening happened about 3 years ago, then and through meditation for about 6 months and study, then this is where the understanding of some of these words of wisdom that before were beyond me, that was granted through intuition and understanding. So going back, so a wonderful and joyous feeling of peace comes over you as you now know that you are a divine spirit observing the destiny play you agreed to interact with before being incarnated, the Amen faculty. And it's in this state, this Amen faculty, that one has resurrected your nebuchadnezzar from your subconscious. And now this state of mind is in control, and your physical thoughts, wants and needs or passions conform to nebuchadnezzar. It is here that answers from the realm of spirit come, or as I understand it, from the Pulp Netaru, which is over here, and which we went through. It's good for this when we went through the change of energy at the beginning of the session. That this tree of life, this guides your thoughts and actions to be divine, and this is a spiritual, scientific way that talks about these cosmic forces that are not only in everything that are aspects of the Creator, but also part of us and part of our psyche, and through working through these and through the rituals linked to these, one can elevate oneself to the divine state from Amen, from the lowest vibration, which is Geb, the fourth dimension, but all is part of the Creator. So the next word of wisdom or proverb is there are two images of God, cosmos and humankind. We are of the same quality, but not the same quantity as Wote. Our physical bodies are made of the same elements that are found in the animate and inanimate cosmos. We are stardust. Next is self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is the basis of true knowledge. So this refers to, as I understand it, that man, know thyself. You are the omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent Muamba, Creator. And around 4 or 5 months ago, you know, this idea of being that omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent Creator, and that we are one with all things, and the Creator wished to experience itself through all the varying dimensions, and we are multi-dimensional divine beings. It was very hard to understand for myself, and so just out of intuition, in fact, I was sitting on the edge of my bath, that this example, this analogy came to me and helped me understand that time and multi dimensions in terms of African spirituality. It's not that this is not how it actually is, but it's just an analogy to help me understand it and hopefully help others to understand it in this fourth dimension, using our Sebek faculty, our intellect, and so that can move, open up the channels to our right brain, our divine, the side of our brain that make things connect that sees the complementary things and talks and sees things in images rather than in words and concrete things, and is a helps us to have a holistic view of all existence in conjunction with our left brain. So to understand this omniscience, and omnipotence, if you would just join me in just this exercise that I explained this. So imagine that every living organism that has ever existed, and all those that are yet to exist, has a lifespan that could be portrayed as a linear piece of string. Also, each string lifespan has an infinite number of variations, representing each action or option taken and the opposite of that action or option taken. And each variant lifespan string is a dimension. So now imagine that all the lengths of string lifespan are lined up next to each other in parallel lines, equidistant from each other. Then imagine all the lifespan strings are pinched together at a single point. The point at which all the lifespan strings meet is my and your individual being, or Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord of all, illustrating that my and your being is the sum of all things that have ever been, are yet to come, and every possible variation. In other words, the all. Now imagine that these lifespan strings roll up and scrunch to that pinch point. The strings scrunch up so much that it's impossible to see where one string lifespan begins or ends. It is because the lifespan strings touch, twist, and overlap with each other at many points that transference of energy between them is possible. So Nebuchadnezzar, or our Lord of all, our higher selves, is able to vibrate with and receive energy from the past, present, future, and multidimensionally from all existence as they converge at the same point. The lifespan strings scrunch so tightly at that single point that they would appear as a single entity, the singularity. And that is what we understand as the concept of the all, the singularity. From it, all things are possible. All things emanate from it. Can't be divided, can't be added to. And as we are of the same quality and quantity, we can transfer energy and receive energy from all existence, past, present, future, in the now. So the next is those who have learned to know themselves have reached that stage which does transcend any abundance of physical existence. But they, through a love that leads astray, expend their love upon their body. They stay in darkness, wandering and suffering through their senses, things of anxiety, unrest, and death. So knowing yourself is you making contact with your Nebuchadnezzar or Al-Sar faculty and conforming to its will via trance. This is achieved through transdimensional meditation. And again, I'm just showing you here in the image here, the theta waves, and that's where the state, when you enter into that kind of meditation, that deep transdimensional meditation is where you make that contact with the all, the ancestors, and can receive the divine wisdom and communication, and also help you manifest the objectives in this reality. But once we achieve this through trance in transdimensional meditation, when we're able to bring forth our Nebuchadnezzar from our subconscious, But before that happens, at first, the amnesia of incarnation. So when we're incarnated into this flesh form, into our flesh form, into this fourth dimension, there's amnesia, and this is seen as the Geb faculty. So this amnesia begins to fade once you start to make a connection with the all and start to bring forth your higher self. And so that amnesia begins to fade, and at some point in your life, and then the quiet voice of intuition, or Tahuti, which is here on the right, speaks to you of your true nature, the Al-Sar faculty, and provides opportunities to learn how to accept the truth and resurrect it from your subconscious. But if you drown out this voice by giving into your addiction to sensual and sensory input, the Set faculty, and trap yourself in the illusion of the fourth dimension, your persona, ego, and intellect become your jailers instead of tools to free you. Next is a devotee of El Set is one who ponders over sacred matters and seeks therein for hidden truth. So through divination and readings, I understand that I am a devotee of El Set and Tahuti. Oracle readings have revealed that it is my divine purpose, and I'm here in this incarnation to advise and guide others on the spiritual path. That is resurrecting Al-Sar from their subconscious. I am working towards that, and I must learn and experience and then share with the willing and seeking. And it is by this method of the Al-Sar being resurrected from our subconscious that we can control our subconscious segregative thinking. That is, as I explained before, left brain separating analytical oppositional thinking. The belief that only the external world exists, that the natural state of humans is to be emotional, reactive, and animalistic, and can only be changed by a divinity that is external to oneself. Next proverb, a word of wisdom from Kemet, is salvation is the freeing of the soul from its bodily fetters, becoming a god to knowledge and wisdom, controlling the forces of the cosmos instead of being a slave to them, subduing the lower nature through awakening the higher self, ending the cycle of rebirth and dwelling with the netters who direct and control the great plan. So freeing oneself from the concerns of the body and the persona is achieved by attaining and maintaining Ulaganifu, which is equanimity, and Kwa Amani, which is equipoise, in all situations, by living a life guided by your higher self, living that spiritual life, that culture, Ma'at. So once we are moving towards or achieve that spiritual life, that living that culture of Ma'at, this opens the way for resurrecting your Al-Sar faculty, Nebuchadnezzar, from your subconscious. Therefore, gaining direct access to Tahuti, divine knowledge and wisdom, your gut, your intuition, and accepting and utilizing your unlimited and boundless true self. And this is a major point, that we are limitless and boundless, but through our seduction and through our addiction to the physical fourth dimension, we create bars for ourselves. We create prisons for ourselves. In fact, we create the key that holds that locks the door to these prisons, and throw it out through the bars. And it's the great con of particularly the Western world, that we are not spiritual beings, and that we are, as I said before, emotional, animalistic, and reactive. In fact, when we need to stop putting ourselves in boxes and understand that our true nature is limitless and boundless because we are the spark of the Creator, which is the essence of all creation and all possibility. So once this is achieved, that we understand this unlimited, boundless nature of ourselves, you escape reincarnation as you have finally fulfilled your divine purpose and release all perception of the illusion of duality and conform to the singularity. So coming there to the end. So the next proverb is, when opulence and extravagance are a necessity, instead of righteousness and truth, society will be governed by greed and injustice. I think we can see that about around ourselves for so long. So when the self or society, they are both the self and society are both your mental projections, reflections of your internal state, your spiritual state, are distracted by death's tinsel, extravagance, and opulence. And death's tinsel is a beautiful term that's created by A. Ma in the beautiful book 2000 Seasons. So once your self or society are distracted by death's tinsel, that is the sensory and sensual experience, then selfishness, greed, and pride and injustice will appear to have the upper hand. And it's a key to say will appear to have the upper hand. Because if we're limitless and boundless, how can anything have control of us unless we give it that control over us? So that is the end of the presentation. So Santi Kwa Kushir Kananami, thank you for sharing with me. I hope that was helpful. I hope that opens up the discussion. And if we can just go back to the presentation, Digitaka.
Okay.
If you could
Well,
just go.
it's enough. I'm just looking. Okay.
Ah, there we go. Thank you. So just so people can
Is that
see.
it?
So yeah, that's it. So those are the references. So I'll just leave that up for a second. People can on YouTube be able to rewind this and check that out. And there's the final set of references. And that is finally the end of the presentation.
Right. Yes. So I'd like to thank ndugu Imani for that very insightful presentation. So now what we're going to do,
Welcome.
we're going to open up the floor for questions and for discussions. So first I'd like to go to Brother Kunda, because I know you're from a particular tradition of African spirituality. And could you just give us a brief background on yourself and what your organization, what your spiritual movement is about?
Looks like he's
my microphone was muted.
Is your mic? Oh, it was muted.
Sorry.
Okay.
No. Thank you very much for inviting me. Matondo Tondele Kibeni. In Kikongo we say Tondele Kibeni, to say thank you very much. Nekunda Laba, I'm a film producer, director. Also the head of Vuvamu UK, Vuvamu, which is the African Spiritual Center, and actually is the African spirituality called Uvutuka. And our organization is, the headquarters of our organization is based in Kinshasa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So that's where we are based, and we are based in the UK as well. in London, in Birmingham, and in France, in Belgium, in Germany, and in many countries, even in many countries in Africa, in Angola, Gabon, the Republic of Congo, etc. So that's a little bit about our spiritual movement, the African Spiritual Center, Vuvamu, which teaches the African spirituality and the African culture. And I'm very glad to be in this discussion and to share with other people and with the brother who just did the presentation, a very good presentation about the African spirituality, which is connected to Egypt. And in terms of our spirituality, in terms of Vuvamu, or the traditional African spirituality in the Congo, since the Kingdom of Congo, I mean, there is a big connection between both the Egypt and the Kingdom of Congo. So I produced a documentary about Kimpavita, called Kimpavita, the Mother of the African Revolution. And the documentary deals with some aspects of the African spirituality as well. And there is Kimpavita, who was fighting to rebuild, to revive the African spirituality that existed before the Christianity in the Kingdom of Congo in 15th century. And I just finished my new documentary about the Kingdom of Congo, called Kingdom of Congo in Search of the Destroyed Kingdom. And again, in this documentary about the Kingdom of Congo, talking about some aspects about the African spirituality that existed before the coming of European people in Africa, and especially in the Kingdom of Congo. Because as many people know, we in the Kingdom of Congo, we had the spirituality that existed. Our ancestors knew the concept of the spirituality before meeting with European people in the 15th century, before they imposed the Christian beliefs in the Kingdom of Congo. So I will be a little bit brief to go quickly, as we don't have enough time and we have so many other people who have to speak as well. So in our side, since the Kingdom of Congo and even today in the African spirituality in Vuvamu, in Congo, etc., we see the African spirituality as the connection with the spirit, as the connection of everything to deal with the spirit. Because as human beings, we have two parts. We have the spiritual part and we have the physical part. We have the spirit and we have the body. And when we talk about the spirituality in general, we think about this connection, this relation between the body and the spirit. And apart from the human who has the spiritual part and the physical part, there is this connection between the spiritual world and us in the physical world as human beings. So we have this connection with the spiritual world as well. So when we talk about the spiritual world, we call it Mpemba Kalunga in Kikongo, Simu Congo in Kikongo, which means the spiritual world. And we here in the physical world, we call it Nseki Congo. And there are spirits who exist in the spiritual world. So among those spirits, we have first the creator that we call Tatamvangi, the creator, who is the high spirit. and our ancestors used to connect with Tatamvangi, with the creator, because they knew the existence of the creator, of the highest spirits which created the world. And agree with the brother, because in the concept of the spirituality, even in Congo, we see the creator as a male and female at the same times. That's why in the law of the creation, we teach that even the first human being who was created was both male and female, that we called Maungu. So that's the dimension of the creator who is let's say, who is omnipotent, that we said in Kikongo, Nempungu. That's the same thing I can say the Proverbs raised as well. So it spoke about omnipotent. So we see the creator as omnipotent as well. So we call it Nempungu Tulendo. We see the creator as omnipresent as well. And in that context, we call him Nekalunga. So we see the creator as omniscient as well. And in that way, we call the creator Nimbumba. And I believe there is a link with what the brother just said. Probably the name, I didn't catch the name properly. Maybe he spoke about Mumba, but we said in Kikongo, we say Nembumba Loa, to define the creator as omniscient. And so the human being have this connection with the creator. So apart from the creator, we also have what they call angels, who are just the spirits, are the spirits around the creator himself. And we have so many spirits to connect with. So we have, apart from them, we have what we call our saints as well, what we call Balongo. The Longo, the saints, are the spirits. They were human beings in the physical world like us. From the sacrifices they did, from their achievements, when they go back to the spiritual world, and they are considered as the saints. And our ancestors knew that they have to connect with those spirits as well, to empower them, to enlighten them, to give them inspirations as well. So it's part of what we call connection with the spiritual part. So we have also the connection with the ancestors. The ancestors, because in the Congo spirituality, we knew, I mean, that's the same thing in the African spirituality in general. We knew that the spirits don't die. When someone, like they say, someone dies, we say they didn't die, but he went back to the spiritual world. So as the spirit doesn't die, because as a human being, like I said, we have both parts. We have the spiritual part and we have the physical parts. We have the body and we have the spirit. So for someone to come to the physical world to accomplish the mission of the creator, so the person, the woman and the man has to create the body, and a spirit has to come from the spiritual world, or the creator has to send a spirit which will animate the body. So that's the same thing when the person dies, which means the same spirit which was in the body, which came to the body, has to leave the body. So dying is just this separation between the body and the spirit. So the spirit gets out of the body and goes back to the spiritual world. So when it goes back to the spiritual world, which means the spirit exists, it is there. So as the people remaining in the physical world, so we have this possibility to connect with that spirit. That's why our ancestors used to connect with the ancestors or the people who are died, who are dead. Sorry. So apart from the connection with the ancestors or the people who left the physical worlds, so there is the connection with the trees as well, because we believe that the trees have spirits as well. So we have the connection with the animals as well. We have the connection with the water. We have the connection with the sun, because the sun has the spirits as well. The animals have the spirits as well. So we have the connection with the water, because the water for us is a spirit, and the spirit of the water, we call him the Mwanda Congo, who was the high spirit of the water, and who is the spirit who was the responsibility even of the tongue of the language we call Nimwanda Congo. So we have the connection in general with the nature, because the nature itself is a spirit. And like I said from the beginning, in summary, we define it as, the spirituality, African spirituality, as, this connection with the spirits, with the spiritual world. And it is the connection between your own spirits as well. So I think that's what I can add quickly in terms of our understanding of the African spirituality above what the brother said.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you,
Kwanda.
brother.
And now, Sister Kendaki, could you just give a brief summary as well? Take next 15 minutes or so, and then we'll open it up after that for a general discussion around spirituality. Sister Kendaki? I'm not sure. Kendaki?
Yes, so greetings,
Greetings.
guys.
Greetings. No.
Can you hear me?
No, you're freezing. You're just very, it's not that clear. You're freezing quite a bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, but it's coming through intermittently. It's not.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's a bit
Yeah,
better.
I can hear you.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so first of all, I would like to acknowledge our ancestors, those whose shoulders we stand on. So I know you, yes, so Kendaki, but so the Dogon School of Kemetic Philosophy and Spirituality here in the school, in the school. The school was founded by High Priest Neb Naba Lomusa Morondeni Beg from the Guru Manchi Syrian temples. The Guru Manchi are a subset of the Dagomba, the Kemet. The Dagomba were the priests to the pharaohs in the time of ancient Kemet. And over 2,500 years ago, when the invaders came into Kemet, they took the journey across the Sudan, across that region, Chad, that region, across the Sahara, first settling around the Niger Valley, by the Niger River, and then moving into West Africa, into the as Mali, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Togo, into Benin. The initiatic school in the West, 20 years now. And this was done with the blessings of the temples, the spirituality back into the West, so that those of us who are desirous, humanity, who wanted to walk the paths of the ancestors could do so through traditional initiation. Now you ask the question, what is spirituality? And say that, first of all, the realm of spirituality is that, I can't say I know spirituality because of its vastness, but my understanding, I can share some of my understanding with you. One thing that we are taught is that spirituality is technical, but that spirituality also represents what we honor as the unseen. That essence which is responsible for the physical. And that dwells within each of us through, some would use rituals, that reconnection, and he spoke about meditation, connecting with the higher, and through how one lives through every day, keeping a level of purity so you are able to connect with the other dimensions that exist. One is able to live within the physical realm, but have understanding that has its genesis from a non-physical place. So when we speak of spirituality, we have, I know our brother from Congo spoke of the deities. We have also our deities. We have the Nete, those higher intelligence, higher principles that stand in many different areas. So yes, you have the deity of the plants, are responsible for the rivers, but those influences come together to allow physical manifestation and to allow what we see here, to allow that. I would say as human beings, really coming to understanding spirituality, one has to almost separate or step away from the physical realm and the distractions are experienced in the physical dimension. And by that, one is able to commune with deities, ancestors, serve as a guide in this world, in times when humanity itself is on the brink of destruction, destroying them. the foolishness and stage where he destroys the very home he's in. So, Earth Center, they teach, and you go through so you can reconnect with the traditions so that you can understand nature, and how so you learn fit in. We call it a zuwe, with existence. In this and in what we call the imente, that part of existence that is no longer based in a physical reality. That would be what I would share at the moment.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for that, Sister Kandaki. Unfortunately, Nia Kunda said he had to leave quite urgently. There's something he had to do. So just before we open it up for general discussion, and remember to all the viewers, I would like you to send in, if possible, to send us in your comments, what you've think of the program so far, and any questions. I'm sure you must have some questions. Just send them into the panel so they can be addressed. So just before we go into the open discussion, I'd just like Brother Beanie to give us his perspective of African spirituality, how he sees it. Brother Beanie?
Greetings.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Greetings,
Yeah,
Elder.
greetings.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Can you hear me, Jeff?
You're not coming through very clear. No. Try and speak directly into the mic.
Oh. Wait until this comes through. Because
Yes, that's better.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
okay.
that's better now. Yeah,
Well,
but just speak directly into the mic. Just speak directly into it.
okay. My understanding of African spirituality coming way back from my great grandmother, you know, because some people in Jamaica where I was born, thinking, well, if you go to the church, your spirit is all right, and you go to Christianity or you go to Islam. But my grandparents and my parents were very clear. You know, when Kunda was saying about we connected to nature, and rather brother Imani, connected to nature. We are connected to nature. And all my parents describe having the understanding of the spirit realm and the physical realm. Here we have some chicken in the yard. And if you're gonna go and talking about killing the chicken for Sunday dinner, all those chickens will pick up your vibration and run about the place and make sure they're not caught. So they usually have to caught them earlier in the week, put them in a pen, give them some herbs to take in, and then they will speak to the chicken and ask the chicken to forgive them. Because then they need to have them for Sunday dinner. So the grandparents know that that chicken had a spirit and it came from a spirit realm. So they're asking for forgiveness from the chicken. They did it with the cow, they did it with the goat, they did it with the pig. They did all that, yeah. And I grew up seeing libation being poured to the ancestors. And I wonder all the time as a young person, what are they talking about this spirit world? It's when I'm older now I understand more about the spirit world. But we Africans have lost our culture and our spirituality, and we need to get back to it at lightning speed, even as crazy Trump say, warp speed. Yeah, we need to get back, and that's the only way we're gonna survive. And all African spiritual practice on the continent, after my travels all over Africa, I realized is all the same. It's one. It's because of language. You might say, they would say, Mungu for the Creator. And everywhere you go, there's different, in Ghana, Jimnyami, and so on. So we have a chance as Africans to return to our spiritual system and understand where we are. Meditation for 20 minutes every day, maybe in the morning or in the night, to connect to the spiritual energy of our ancestors is very important. So we need to do that. We need to understand paying homage to our personal ancestral past to the ancestral is also important. So I never go to no church. Yet we had a Roman Catholic church next to us in the school. We went to the school, but certainly didn't go to the church. And our parents wouldn't make us go to the church. All my uncles and aunties, they wouldn't make them go to the church because they say it's nothing to do with our culture and our connection to the Creator. So we weren't allowed to go there. I'm saying I've had lots of experience with different priests and stuff for quite some time. I've had brothers from Southern Africa, from Ghana, from Nigeria, and I find it's all the same. We do have a belief system that talks about the physical and the spiritual. Some of these churches might say we're practicing at E.T. Road and Burnham, saying we're practicing voodoo, devil worship. They ain't got a clue. These preachers don't have a clue. They're just con men making their money. So I think it's the divine spirit of our ancestors. We'll sort them out in the end and let them see the truth about our culture and so. So spirituality for me, I've had a great experience from my grandparents to traveling to places like Tanzania and also Congo. We go every 2 years. We go to Congo to do rituals and stuff, meditation and so. We go to Angola as well because a lot of places in Angola they have the first European church. It's still standing there. It's not a roof up. And we have the graves of the kings that were executed by the Belgians and Portuguese. They're there. We want to pay homage to those brothers and sisters who were murdered by these terrorist European. Yeah. So it's good to go to there and actually see what our ancestors hold on to fight against. So we need to go really deep into African spirituality. It's the key to our liberation as well. Make no doubt about it. For us to liberate ourselves, we have to be one with our ancestors in the spirit realm. And meditation will help you. We must connect. Before I start, I just like to share something with the listeners. When you pour libation, you must always think like a spider sending his web out. And for us to understand our spiritual, we must have a spider thinking that sending out a web when we pray and pour libation like earlier. And that web goes out all the way bounce in the Caribbean, bounce in America, and bounce right back into the motherland to our ancestors to make that connection. That's as simple as we are talking about connecting to the ancestors. Ashe.
Ashe.
All right.
Sorry, mic's mute. Yeah, at this time we're going to open it up now. So if there's a question that came in, and it's addressed specifically to Sister Kendaki, and it's asking whether the Dogon meetings you speak about, are they taking, where do they take place? Are they taking place in London, for example? Sister Kendaki?
Okay, so yes, it's actually a school that we have here in London. So yes, we have a school which people come and do initiation here in London. You can go on the website, and we also have a Facebook. So you can look on the there's an international. So it's an international organization in Canada, the US, here. And there are more schools who want them to open up, but the amount of schools that they want, they having the amount of people. But we do have a school here in Leytonstone, London. So you can go on the Facebook, the Earth Centre UK, and you can get our details there.
Okay. Okay, so as we wait for more questions to come in, it'd be good just to generally open it up now, because we have heard from each party in terms of how they see spirituality. And I will start it off by, I have a question that I like to ask. When we say African spirituality, we know that there's various aspects of it. For instance, Sister Kendaki is from the Dogon tradition. We had the Nikunda from the Congo cosmology. We know we have the Yoruba tradition and so forth. Are all those traditions intertwined, or would you say they're separate in themselves? I don't know if everybody heard the question.
Yeah. Heard the
Yeah,
question.
Yeah.
Asante Ndugu. I think I've already said in the presentation at the beginning that yes, they all intertwine. There's a golden thread that runs through all of them. And as Elder Binny was saying, as he travels through Africa, all the spiritual practices he's seen are the same. They all have the same principles. So yeah, they do. They are the same, but they are just as Elder Binny was saying, and from my understanding, is that depending on which part of the world we were, what language we were speaking, which kind of time period we were, the fauna and the flora around us, it just means that's how it was expressed. But it's all from the all from the creator. I'll leave others to add to that.
Anybody would like to add to that, or?
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, the thing is, looking at the Congo and see what happened in Kemet, and our little beloved brothers that are the Twa, what these blue-eyed devil like to call pygmies, and they know why they were trying to, because these brothers and sisters are very in tune to the cosmos. That's when the people in Kemet wanted to understand and solve some spiritual, they had sent for these guys from the Congo. They're really deep spiritual people, and if you see how they relate in the forest and so, they're one with nature. So the Twa is represented in Kemet by a statue, so that shows the connection of our brothers and sisters on the continent connecting to the same spiritual system and understanding. When they talk of the earth recycle every 25,000 years, they're not far off, you know. And then when you look at other people in Northern Africa, who talks about the star Sirius B and the connection that's spiritual to the stars is very important that we understand. We are all intertwined on of African people. You know, we're not like the 7 days and the Pentecostal and the this, that, and gospel. They are so confused, and it's even worse in Islam. There are more people who are confused about that. There's more than 75 different sects of Islam. And when them ready, them war among themselves. With African spirituality, you don't find them warring among themselves. You know, there's a complete different connection to a divine being, and so we don't need to war against each other. Now we practice the same thing.
Okay, Sister Kendaki, before you answer, there's another question come up that kind of related. There are many forms of spirituality, or and then they're asking which is the correct one and structure. Sister Kendaki, is still there?
Okay, so what I would say is that when I was in, yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
can hear
yes,
you,
clear. Yeah, that's fine now. Oh.
Can you hear me? Okay. So what I would say is when I was in from Togo into Benin, and we were spending time with the Voudon queen and the king, and we had gone into the queen's temple, and then they had a festival. And at the festival, I saw their deities and some spiritual markings on the floor. Now, from where we had come in the bush, some spiritual work had been done, and it was similar marking, but these were the Dogon priests, and we were going to see the Voudon, which is not exactly the same. And I said to the priest, well, look, the markings are similar to what we saw in the bush, what the priests were doing there, how comes, are they similar? And he said, yes. What happened is in Kemet, the pharaoh, which means the great house, that was the central part. And around that, you had all the temples. So that you hear talk about Memphis and all of these different places, temple sites. And each temple served a deity. Now, those deities work together to make the system work. It's a system. That's why they were called temple systems. So just like you have a whole body, your hand, your eyes, your ears, your toe, every part has a function. So the priests served the different temples. And when the migrations came, when the Greeks came in and the migrations came, each group went to different parts and set up their temples. And so they would serve that deity in a particular body. So if you look across Africa, you will see, just look at the kingship structures. The kingship structures across Africa is similar. Nobody had to tell them because they're coming from one source. But over time, they've gone into different areas, and of course the languages have come different, but look at the spiritual system and the kingships. They're of a similar nature. So it's just that the Pharaoh was king of all kings, but they came from that structure. So there are of course there are similarities, but over time there's been separation. That would what I would say to that.
Okay. And there's another question coming up. It's two related questions, really. The first one, I've noticed within Southern African culture the high importance of twins in African spirituality. And then same person followed up by saying, the other question, was I wanted to ask if anyone knew why, when a woman has twins within African spirituality, it's a high meaning. It's very important. It's basically asking about the significance of twins when twins come about in African
There's
spirituality.
also the question from CC. I think I know who this is, but
Okay.
greetings. Yeah, about the many forms of spirituality, which I think we've kind of answered similarly. But just to quickly just touch on that and that point regarding choosing which one is the correct. They're all from, as the elder and the sister said, they're all coming from the same. The question is which one do you resonate with? Which one does your spirit call you to? And you can do things like divinations that will lead you in a particular path and say this is the one that you should follow. But whichever one, for me personally, I'm not initiated in any particular in the system. I'm just a practitioner, and just finding my path. But I'm leaning towards I've been lent towards the Kemetic system and the Kemetic theological understanding, spiritual understanding, and that's where I've been led. But you can do divination, have a divination performed for you to give you an idea, but it can come as simply as through your dreams, through who comes into your life, who which information is presented to you that you resonate, and then you follow that path. That is it. That is your path. So there's no, they're all equally as good, but it really depends on where your spirit resonates and where you're guided to follow.
Okay. And anyone want to touch on the question concerning the twins? What's the significance of twins in African spirituality?
I know, Jeff, I know then the issue of twins, when with Hoover and they do the law of creation, each law of creation, they said the first human beings in this earth, they're both male and female. So probably that's why that strong spiritual connection. So it's said in Africa by some of the elders, when you have twins, you're blessed by the Creator, Yamungu. So that's why we take so much significance with the twin, because it should be only one spiritual soul that's returned at the time by a female. But when two come, that's two spirits that has entered back in the physical plane. So I think that's where there's a strong tie to the twin.
Okay. Mr. Kandaki, any comments on that one?
Honestly, I don't really know the significance. I've seen it, that's significance. But yes, having two is a blessing. I mean, we know for African people, birth thing is that it's a spiritual act. So actually having more than one but I would have to check that.
Okay.
And I
No,
would say
there's
the
a,
same. I would say the same. I would have to check up on it, so I couldn't say definitely I have an answer for that.
all right. So, hold on. There's quite a bit of noise in the background. It's coming from somewhere. I'm not sure. Um,
Let me see. All right.
yeah.
Did that
Okay.
help it?
There's a point that I want to raise. Many would say, right, they are religious, very religious, devoutly religious. And in African spirituality, I don't think the word religion really figures or religious really figures. So, what would you say the difference is between being religious and being spiritual? Is there a difference? Anybody?
Yeah, I think that question really come up quite a few times by our Christian community. They will go on and say that's why they got so much denomination, saying, well, I'm a Baptist, I'm a Seventh Days, I'm a Adventist, I'm a blah, blah. So there's a big difference because African spirituality don't deal with having different denominations. You don't see something like that. It's only people with negative thinking could create that kind of situation. But as it stands today, it's not. South Africa, they have a massive spiritual council. There's one being developed also with Vuvamu. When I got to the temple in Congo, there were well over 100 different African spiritual practices, but they have no aggravation between them. So I think we have a heads up on that we keep our culture as it is and not let it divide us and saying, well, I'm a better spiritual practice than you. None of them is better than any of them. As I said, I'm not going to Africa, I see them practice the same form of libation everywhere I go. Some people might use palm wine, some might use, you know, gin and water, but the favorite one is water that we are because the water is a spirit. So they all use that. But I don't think we should start going on splitting hairs and say, well, this is religion and that's spirituality. People get confused. You mentioned the word voodoo to a lot of African people in diaspora. They want to run because they think it's evil practice. But it's not evil practice. It's our culture practicing. But we're like, if you pay respect to water, because we don't use drinking water to quench your thirst and to lubricate yourself. If you continue and don't drink water, you're dead. And I always say to people when sometime at funeral, I say, look, when you die, your body is 75 or 85% water. So it's soaked back in the ground. It nourishes the plants, the grass, everything. So we interconnected in this spiritual realm. Everything that we talk about spiritual is all related back to us. So people have to wake up and smell the real African coffee.
Hmm. Yeah. Any other comments related to religion versus spirituality?
One
Well,
part.
I know within
Well,
the
I think
traditions,
Mhm.
we see
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. No.
Brother Jefta?
Yeah, you're freezing. It's not that clear at all. You're not coming through.
No?
Very well. Yeah, I can hear you, but
I'm
there's a
not coming
big
through?
delay thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Okay. Is that okay. Okay. Within the traditions, we see religion as a social political means by which you get people and control people. That's, you know, in fact, religion is seen as anti-spiritual, the culture, the Kemetic culture, in terms of the Dogomba. So if you look at called the Abrahamic religions, even that the initiation understands they used someone with a Kemetic name. He was from Kemet. He was even given the ancient language. So you know we speak the Medu Mait, which is what the Greeks call the language of the god in terms of the Medu Neter. And his name Abraham, Ab is heart, Ra is the deity Ra, and Ham or him means me. So that's why you hear them call him Abraham or Abraham. The heart of Ra is in me. So the father of the religions, the main two religions, Christianity and Muslim, actually is a Kemetic. He comes out of the Kemetic name. His name is Kemetic. So what in their drive to close Kemet down and to take over, they had to design socio-political and also religious construct so that could take the people away from the spiritual aspect and control them within a religious aspect. So that's how within the traditions it's viewed as a construct to take and that came over a period of time as they found different ways to break Kemet, because the invasion of Kemet, you know, they talk about the invasion, but it happened over a series of time. When they first came in and saw the people, it wasn't that they could just break these people down. They had to find what the weaknesses were, and so they went because they saw that these people, this was what their strengths were. They broke down, they continually went until they broke down and then reconstructed the understanding or for them to be able to gain power. So that's how we understand the religions as opposed to spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
There's a what was that? Okay.
I
Yes,
don't know
I don't know what that was.
I tell you, when if people are not speaking, just mute their mics because sometimes background sounds just coming.
So,
All right, yeah, go on.
yes,
Try.
yes, yeah. So there's the two beautiful explanations between about religion and spirituality, and that's that I haven't got much more to add to that. Yeah, religion, I believe in the what they say, the meaning of religion in etymological terms is to link or to yoke, and in the Abrahamic faith, it is, as the sister was saying, is to yoke, to control people. Whereas the true aspect of what religion is supposed to do, religion is supposed to help you. That you're supposed to help you, to lead you to be more spiritual, to be spiritual and leave religion. Religion is organized and controlling, where spirituality sets you free. So the following a religion, so to speak, should be leading you to a place where you are becoming more spiritual, or you're following in a spiritual tradition and you don't need the religion. So as the sister said, it's a social, cultural, political construct. And particularly as we're coming from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius now, after the last 26,000 years, in the last age of Pisces, that's where all the Abrahamic faith came about, and that was a period of control, and that we're going into should be going into a period now of Aquarius, where it's we're freeing up, where people are becoming more enlightened, where they're becoming more in touch with their spirit, and moving away from the religions. So yeah, so just to add a little bit more to what has already been explained very well already.
So in the last 5 minutes or so, I just want, if somebody came to you for advice and they say, well, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I would like to investigate African spirituality, but I'm not sure because from what I've heard, there's quite a negative aspect to it. I mean, how would you persuade them that they should give up the Christianity or Islam and return back? I'm talking about African people now, and they should return back to the source, return back to their religion, because that is the true and right way forward. How would you think you would convince them? Brother Beanie?
Yeah, I've had the experience of people coming and asking how can they become more spiritual. So what we do is we invite them to a session, and it might not be Vuvamu, it might be Romani. And there's a book with 10,000 pages done by Nabi Katabazi, and we'll ask them to open the book, meditate first, and then open the book. And I've learned to accept certain things that happen that is important. The book will then talk to that person and tell them exactly where they gotta go and where they must align themselves to the spiritual realm. This book with Imani has been, I think maybe about 5-6 years we had it here in Britain. No, the rabbis in the Jewish faith want to get a copy. The Roman Catholic want to get a copy of it, but the Nabi is not allowing them to have no copy of that book. The book really means map. It's Imani A Yamu. That's what it is. And we do at times read some of the text out to people so they can hear what we're dealing with. So I usually always say to them, meditation, so we'll tell them about meditation, how to meditate, and what they should do in the evening or in the morning. They must set up a shrine and pour libation. We have had Christians come, we have had Muslims come, and some of the Muslim brothers them have to retreat because them family threatened to kill them and they come back to Africa. So there is a fear. The so-called Johnny come lately religion, that they feel African spirituality will, just keep on advancing and rock them out. But it is, last time I was in Congo, you can believe it, some Muslim went on a march in the city center saying they should ban Vuvamu, the group that Kunda belonged to and myself belonged to. They must ban them. And that's just crazy. if they have any respect, well, mind you, as religion says, this is to control people, and it's there to make sure it take our wealth, and that's why all those conferences took place in Rome. And then conference to discuss how to control us. The Alles Council, Nassor, and so on is been practicing how to control the African people. And a lot of people have fear because we are the original people that's been on this planet Earth. So we would definitely have a more connection to the spiritual realm and these other people. You don't, in African spirituality, you don't see our people worshiping an individual figure like the Christian of Muhammad. I mean, is Muhammad. In Christianity is Jesus. You don't have that in African spirituality because it's not a control mechanism. It's about how we live with each other, how we respect each other, how we respect nature and know of the nature spirit. So we take them through some things that programs that we are given to take and ask them a question, a certain question. Like you got they'll be saying the Christians will say there was only Adam and Eve, and we said, all right, if there's only Adam and Eve, two people on the planet, yeah, that God, your God said he make them put on the planet. Cain killed and they have children. Cain killed Abel, and then he was told to leave the garden and go to the land of Nod and marry a woman. So where these other women come from? That's where these preachers. I remember I was at a conference that put that over for some of the teaching that we do in law of creation as part of it. So I put it over to all these preachers and bishops, and they was stuck because they're in a public and I put it to them, and they all turned around and says, we need to have a conversation about this meeting. So I said, all right, whenever you're ready. And I know they ain't going to come because all they're doing is some of them are coming up and saying, it's all voodoo practice and it's devil, demon and devil that you're worshiping. Well, we say, no, you come and sit with us and we'll show you. And we'll show them that water got memory. The air is a spirit. We can tell them anything, we say the fruit eats the spirit, and break it down to them, and then they'll gradually understand, and then you see them start coming to classes and realize the journey came late, the little religion ain't gonna help them, but what we're saying is much more profound. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Sister Kendaki, I hope you can remember the question. The same to you. And then I finally end with Brother Imani. So the same. How would you?
Okay, so firstly, I was. Okay. So firstly, I would say we're not anybody, but what we do is just show people logic. Everyone has that choice for themselves. So the question I would ask them, that African spirituality is evil, who told them that? Did they hear that from the ancestors taken from a practice? Or was it the person who was responsible?
Yeah, I think Sister Kandaki's connection, you can see, was having some problems, so she's finally dropped out. So what I'll do, I'll just pass over to you, Brother Imani, to wine, and then I got a few announcements just at the
Okay.
end. If she comes back, we'll just finish. Hope she'll be able to come back in. Yeah, the
Absolutely.
same. Yeah, same point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, so first of all, in my understanding is that everything happens as it should and when it should. And so, if somebody is asking that question, that's because the spirit has been moved in them to ask that question in the first place, and that's why they're coming to me to speak to or speaking to someone else, and they're asking that question. So so it's 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 not about African spirituality. It's not about coercion like the Abrahamic faith. It's not about sin. It's not about you going to hell or heaven. It's about nature. It's about life. It's about your natural state of being. And so, what I will be asking them or looking to them is, what led you to ask this question? Was it a book you read? Is it someone a talk you had? Was it a dream you had? Is it something that you used to hear from your grandmother, grandparents, and it's something, it's an itch that you can't scratch, and so that's why you're coming to ask this question. So it's as in my own experience with my own spiritual awakening, years before I came into a deeper understanding. So it happens as it should, when it should. We don't coerce people. We don't have to. It's from the film The Matrix. Which it has many spiritual concepts within it. There's one where one of the characters says, not everybody believes what you believe, and he says, my beliefs don't require you to believe me. And the same with African spirituality. I don't require, that it doesn't require someone to try and convince them. It's about showing them and living it. And that African spirituality is something that you live. And so it would be inviting them to a meeting. It would be suggesting a book to them. It's suggesting something they should read. Something they read, if they wanted to investigate, then possibly perform a divination for them to help them to understand what is their path. But if they're just beginning, it's just about encouraging them and letting them know that this is happening for a reason. There is no coincidence. There is no luck, and that as a divine being having a divine human experience, this is happening for a reason. And that what I found when I've spoken to people who have the faith, that kind of works for them, that kind of speaks to them, because they wouldn't have come and spoke to us in the first place if they hadn't been called in the first place, and it wasn't the time for them to come into their consciousness. And that can happen when you're young, and that can happen when you're old, because in essence we are eternal spirits, and it will happen when it's going to happen. When it's going to happen. And who are supposed to be here is supposed to be here. And by virtue of them coming into their consciousness, we open up and feeds into universal consciousness.
Sorry.
So that would be that's how I would answer the question.
Okay, all right. I think Sister Kandak is back. So I'll just ask her just to sum up quickly what she was saying. I'll put you back into the. Hello, Sister Kandaki? No, I don't think she's hearing me. She's on the phone, it seems. Hold on. Let me take that one out. Yeah. So, but I think she's still having some problems. So what I'll do, because time's beating us. So I'd like to thank Brother Imani for a very inspiring presentation today. I'm sure those who was, I'm sure those who was viewing would have learned a lot, because spirituality is such a huge area.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you would learn a lot, and I hope this leads you to investigate further, if you haven't already, your our spirituality, the African spirituality, the original spirituality from which everything sprang. I hope this will stimulate those curiosity in you to go and look further.
And I would say, just
So,
in final, that the greatest book that you can read to understand African spirituality is yourself. The answers are written within in your DNA.
that's it. Just to look. So just before we wind up, what I'd like to do, for the past couple of weeks, I've been mentioning Africa Liberation Day. That's a big event we have coming up. We are busy planning that event right now, and I did say by this week I'll be in a position to give a bit more information in terms of what we're doing. Well, Africa Liberation Day is next week, in fact. We're having it over 2 days. We have it on the 24th and the 25th of May. And behind me, you can see the poster, the flyer that's just coming out, showing some of the speakers that we'll be having there. Now, we are very privileged and honored to have managed to get all these people together to come together on one program. I mean, for instance, we have had Professor James Small, he's agreed. We have had Professor Obati Shaka. We have had Professor Baina Bella, that's saying, and a host of others. We had Nia Kunda, who spoke earlier, and for instance, Sister Afian from Nigeria, and so forth. So it's going to be a truly memorable day. So, because of the coronavirus situation, obviously it won't be in a physical venue. So we'll be having it on this station, PSEM TV, over those 2 days. The first day will be actually streamed via New Life Radio in Birmingham, New Star Radio in Birmingham. It'll be actually streamed via radio station, which will be very interesting in itself. And we have Sister Neil and Brother Simon who will be hosting. And then on the second day, the PSM will be streaming directly from this station. So it's an event that I would like you all to participate in, because this is the 45th year that PSCM, 45th year in concession that PSCM's been holding African Liberation Day. At one point, it seems like it may be the first time in 45 years that ALD wouldn't have been held by us, but we found a way around it and we decided to do it virtually. And we were very inspired when we put out the word to these speakers to come on board, and they all agreed. And there many more things will happen. So that's something I would like you to look forward to. So that's on the 24th and the 25th of May, the Sunday and the bank holiday Monday, which is next weekend. So I'll go back into the studio now, and I'd like to thank, I'm just seeing put Beanie back in. I think Kendaki is still. Sister Kendaki, are you back with us? Well, I think she's, but it's a pity that we had so much problem today concerning the internet, but she's back with us.
Yes, I'm
I just
here.
like to.
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic. And we didn't want to end without giving you the last word, because you were saying something when the last question when you dropped out. Hello? Your
She's
mic
muted.
muted. Sister Kendaki, you're muted. Yeah, that's it. So we'd just like to end by allowing you to say what you were originally saying about how you would go about convincing people that African spirituality is the right way.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so what I was saying was that, we're not here to convince anyone, but what I would do is just use the logic and ask them, where did they African spirituality is evil or it's bad? Was it their ancestors who came were taken from Africa and brought to the West, was it they who told them that? Or was it the man or the persons who were responsible for enslaving them? As we know, we used our science in Haiti to overcome. So who told them that, first of all? So just logic. So it was the person who oppressed you, where we used it, you were him. He was told you it was wrong. It wasn't your people who told you that. So even just use it looking at simple logic more than anything else. And if you want to say, well, it's used to do evil, then what is evil? Is evil not going into a man's house, taking him out, taking his wife out, raping him? Is that not evil? So I would say look at the logic, and then if you want to go further, then look within yourself, because your ancestors, the blood that you carry is that of your ancestors. And if you listen, there would be a because there is something that is fighting against the program that you've been given. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you very much, Sister Kendaki. And I'd just like to thank for all those who tuned in this week. And next week, I look forward for you all tuning in, plus many more for Africa Liberation Day, which will be held on this channel over the 24th and the 25th of May.
Absolutely.
I just see behind me, we have a flyer which we will be distributing very well. It's probably starts being distributed already with the links to take part in the Africa Liberation Day. Today, as you can see, we've been streaming over 2 platforms, which we'll be doing at ALD. We're streaming over YouTube and the Facebook platform, and we'll be doing that next week. So I'd like to extend great thanks to Brother Imani, Sister Kendaki, Brother Beanie, and Brother Konda for taking part in today's show. So until next week, I wish everybody all the best until next week. And make sure you tell everybody next week, African Liberation Day, with the lineup we have, it will be a very, very special ALD. The first virtual ALD that we have done due to circumstances, but I would like it to be a great one, which I'm sure it will be. So until
Very
next
special.
week, thank you for tuning in, and I wish everybody again goodbye and good luck. Thank you very much.
Kwaherini. Asante
Yeah,
sana.
yeah, and Asante Sana to everybody. Okay, I'm going to end it now.